G'day viewers, this is Troy from Troy's Visual Arts channel. This is going to be a fun video presentation because in this video I'm going to be presenting myself in front of every single damn working old camera that I have in my video camera collection. That's right, I'm going to be using a variety of video cameras from the 1960s to the 1990s, black and white and colour, of various tube and CCD technologies, from the old Vidicon tubes to the saticon tubes of the 80s to the modern CCD type. And the quality of the cameras will vary due to the tube technologies and of course the condition of the cameras themselves after years of use of wear and tear, as some of them will be pretty well off in colour and brightnesses and that sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, you'll see me in various forms of picture quality, from good to pretty bad. Anyhow, I've got a lot of cameras to line up, so enjoy the show. Now let's start from the earliest camera. Alright, this is my first camera I'm going to be presenting. You are now looking at me through the eye of a vintage 1965 Shibaden HV-13 black and white 1-inch Vidicon tube camera. Yes, this is a real relic. This is my oldest working camera to date. Unfortunately, it's not working quite perfectly, as there are the obvious problems, as you can see, with slanted horizontal lines, or more like diagonal lines, scanning up and down the picture, which is due to having some kind of sine wave in the video signal, which has been made somewhere, perhaps in the power supply section, as mentioned by one of my tech friends. A problem which I am going to be troubleshooting in the near future. But anyhow, so far it's making a fairly half decent picture. Otherwise, I've made adjustments to bring up a rather sharp and bright enough image for you to see. But yeah, this camera does need a lot of work, but I'm happy that at least it's making some pictures. Anyhow, yeah, this is a real relic, my oldest working camera. Now on to the next camera. Okay, you're now looking at me through the eye of my Sony VCK-2400ACE camera, black and white 230-inch Vidicon tube camera, that is, made around about 1967. This is a brilliant camera. This makes very, very nice black and white pictures, like my AVC-3400, which I'm going to show in one of my following videos. And yeah, brilliant black and white images. This camera was used in conjunction with a portable videotape recorder, half-inch reel-to-reel, from the pre-EIAJ standard days. You need one of those to run these cameras, or a breakout box, as you not only need the 12 volts to supply it to run the camera, but you also need the feed of the horizontal and vertical sync pulses, that is, but you can run them separately from a sync pulse generator, which I'm doing with this camera, and 12 volts from a 12 volt jack. So yeah, I'm running this camera off my sync pulse generator and 12 volt power jack. Anyways, this is currently my #1 favourite black and white camera, which I use for my remote work, and my other videos I've been doing in the last, say, 2 months, because yeah, it makes brilliant pictures, and I'm very impressed with its quality, especially that it's about, I don't know, yeah, 45 years old. Anyways, that's my 1967 VCK-2400ACE black and white Vidicon tube camera. Now on to the next camera. Alright, you're now looking at me through the eye of a vintage 1969 Sony AVC-3400 black and white Vidicon tube camera. Yes, these cameras were very, very popular during the 1970s period. They were often used in conjunction with a portable black and white half-inch EIAJ standard reel-to-reel videotape recorder, and were often used at schools, colleges, industries and all, and very popular for remote work for low budget video productions. Anyways, this camera is making very nice crisp black and white images, and yeah, I'm sometimes using it for me remote work. And now, as I don't have a portable videotape recorder to run this camera with, which is required to provide the horizontal and vertical sync pulses, I'm using a method that one of my mates did, which is to hook it up to a sync pulse generator and hook the syncs into the pins separately, and the 12-volt power separately to run this camera, which works very nicely. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, this camera is making very nice black and white pictures, and yeah, it's very ideal for me black and white work. Anyways, that's my AVC-3400 camera. On to the next camera. Okay, you're now looking at me through the eye of my 1970 Sony AVC-3200CE black and white Vidicon tube camera. This camera is making pretty good images. The Vidicon tube seems to have a rather interesting shading effect, which gives the images kind of that softer vintage Vidicon look, which to me looks quite good for an effect. It actually, in a sense, can even, looks comparable to the earlier Vidicon cameras of the 50s, I'd say. Anyhow, this camera doesn't have its original tube. This tube was I replaced the original tube about 9-10 years ago, because I burnt the crap out of the original tube, foolishly pointing this camera to the sun, which is not a good thing, because Vidicon tubes burn instantly, and I burnt trails into the tube from panning across the sun. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this camera makes quite nice black and white images, and yeah, this particular model of camera was extremely popular in the low budget market for video productions back in the early to mid 70s, as schools, colleges, industries used them for their presentation work and sporting events and whatever else they required coverage on a black and white camera. Anyway, this is quite a nice camera, my Sony AVC-3200CE. Now on to the next camera. Okay, you're now looking at me through the eye of a 1974 Sony AVC-3250CE black and white Vidicon tube camera. This camera was up until recently one of my favourite black and white camera to use for a lot of my black and white work, including my remote shots, and as it makes pretty much the sharpest, crispest black and white images of all my black and white Vidicon tube cameras. Yep, up until I started using the VCK-2400ACE, as I can get better vertical synchronization opposed to this camera, which is running off its internal synchronization, which doesn't match that of the DVD recorder. Hence, you're getting horizontal lines in the picture, and a bit of a shaky picture, and a bit of frame jerkiness. But anyways, yeah, this camera was pretty much the next studio camera up from the AVC-3200, as far as I know anyhow. And yeah, it's pretty much the same as the 3200, but with some added features, but yeah, it does pretty much the same job. Anyways, yeah, this camera makes very nice, crisp black and white images, and was like the 3200, was popular in the low budget broadcast market for, well, not broadcast, but more so video production market. Yeah, such as high schools, colleges, and that sort of thing. And yeah, makes quite stunning images. Anyhow, my AVC-3250CE. Onto the next camera. Okay, you're now looking at me through the eye of a late 70s Sony HVM-100CE black and white Vidicon tube camera. This camera actually is used in conjunction with an effects unit, or vision mixer effects unit, the HVS-3200P, I believe it is, which also is used with a range of Sony trinicon tube colour cameras, which I have a few of, which I'll be showing a bit later. Anyways, this camera is not working very nicely, as it's got as the tube is burnt in very badly towards the bottom, and the picture is quite blurry. Couldn't get a very nice focus on it, and yeah, I'm getting this rather interesting threshold to white effect. Not sure whether this is because the camera is actually used for keying effects, or with the vision mixing unit, or whether it's a fault with the camera. I'm not so sure, but it actually makes quite nice for an effect, but obviously undesirable for normal black and white camera use. I'm going to open the iris a bit more, so I've got a bit more light, but of course in turn I'm going to get more of a threshold to white effect. There we are, more light and more threshold to white effect. I actually only just discovered this too. I have to say, it looks pretty cool for a vision effect, and yeah, I'm going to be using this camera in future for that very purpose. So yeah, there we have it. Interesting, cool looking, psychedelic black and white visual effects. So that's my HVM-100CE black and white Vidicon tube camera for you. Now onto the next camera. Righty, you're now looking at me through the eye of my homemade Vidicon tube black and white camera, which uses a 2 30-inch Vidicon tube. This camera I pretty much built from scratch based off a vintage 1970s Vidicon tube camera circuit which is in the amateur TV handbook, which is available on the BATC site in a PDF. This camera took me about a year to construct on and off, and or about between half a year and a year anyhow, and yeah, after a lot of fault finding and to fix up the bugs that sort of came with it from my own mistakes I made putting the circuitry together. After fixing all those bugs, this camera now produces a half decent image. Unfortunately, it doesn't work too good in low light, and having the iris wide open, it's got very poor focusing, as you can see, and I have to literally zoom right in to get a decent focus. But yeah, apart from that, it's nevertheless making an image. Anyways, although the camera is made last year by myself, I'd still put this into the 1970s Vidicon tube camera class. Anyways, this is for me it's quite a bit of an achievement, because it's a lead up to my image orthicon tube camera project, which I've been anticipating on doing for a while, and I hope to do sometime soon once I get all the resources and the know-how to do so. Anyway, so yeah, that's my homemade Vidicon tube black and white camera. Now on to the next camera. Okay, yeah, now looking at me through the eye of a vintage JVC GC-3300 2 Vidicon tube colour camera dating around about 1978. This camera uses two Vidicon tubes, one for the luminance and the other is a free striped coloured tube, Vidicon tube, which produces the chroma image, and the two put together produces a nicely sharp colour picture. The colour reproduction on this camera is very nice and accurate, mostly. As you can see on the colour chart, the colours look very well produced. The red and the blue are very nice and accurate. The green's a little bit off because it's a bit light in areas, which results in a good green image towards the centre of the picture, but towards the sides the greens tend to go a bit towards the red, which yeah, makes good for an effect, but obviously undesirable if you want an accurate colour picture. But anyways, this camera makes quite a nice picture for an old 1978 colour camera. It's not the oldest colour camera I have, but it's the oldest good working colour camera I have. Anyhow, it's one of my favourite cameras I like to use from time to time. Anyways, on to the next camera. Okay, here's one of my favourite early colour cameras. This one is a vintage 1979 Hanimex VC600-P Vidicon tube colour camera. This camera gives one of the nicest colour pictures of a lot of my early colour cameras. The colour reproduction is extremely accurate, which all colours pretty much register with great accuracy, as seen on the colour bar chart. Well, unfortunately the focusing is off in room lighting conditions, but when used outdoors the focusing is very nice and get nice sharp quality colour pictures that are equivalent to CCD in terms of colour registration. Anyhow, yeah, in order to get some better, sharper images, I have to sort of zoom this camera in a little bit, which I will do. Give me a moment. There we are. With a bit of zooming, you get a very nicely focused, sharp colour image. And you can see even better on the colour bar chart the accuracy of the colour reproduction, which is really good. So yeah, I believe this camera's probably got probably a back focus issue perhaps, or it's simply just, as mentioned earlier, cannot focus real well in lower lights, or more so room lighting, or close up, or within close range. Hard to say really, but yep. Anyhow, as you can see with this camera, it's got its trademark Vidicon lag when I move my head from side to side in the picture, which makes great for an effect. Anyways, yeah, very nice classic colour camera, which I love using from time to time for my video work. Now onto the next camera. Okay, this is my 1979-1980 National WV-3030N Vidicon tube colour camera. This camera is in not too bad shape in terms of colours for its age. The colour reproduction is near accurate, but like with other tube cameras of the era, the red tends to suffer a bit, as seen on the colour chart. Looks very crimsonish, and my skin tones look kind of crimsony, magenta-ish, but apart from that, not a bad image. And yeah, unfortunately my glasses are reflecting the cycle light, and you get a bit of a burn trail happening, so I may as well take them off. Anyway, yeah, these cameras are one of National's earliest portable VHS colour cameras from around the late 70s period. I have two cameras of one model earlier, which is the WV-3000N. Unfortunately, both cameras totally out of focus, making pretty much no picture, just a total blur. Seems to be a common fault with these early cameras. I actually did have another one of these cameras many years ago, but unfortunately I gave it away to a electronics recycle place due to it not being working. Foolish decision, but yeah, live and learn. But I'm glad to get another camera that actually works and makes pretty decent pictures. Anyway, yeah, quite a nice classic Vidicon camera with a nice Vidicon lag with a bit of a greenish glow to it. Anyway, well, that's my National WV-3030N Vidicon colour camera. On to the next camera. Alrighty, this is my 1980-1981 Sony HVC-3000P trinicon tube colour camera. This camera is my most favoured camera of all for my video productions in terms of the tube variety of cameras, because the pictures are absolutely 100% superb. The colour reproduction is pretty much 100% accurate, as seen on the chart, the colour bar chart. Yeah, the skin tones look really good. The blue backdrop comes up very nicely, which I'm very happy for, because it makes it easy for me to do the chroma key stuff. And yeah, this camera makes brilliant pictures. I've used this camera quite a lot for my video productions, and I've used it on remote location shooting at one stage, and it made some very nice, wonderful colour pictures. Yeah, of all the cameras I use, you couldn't ask for a better camera in terms of single tube colour cameras. Anyways, yeah, this camera is pretty much similar to the later model, the HVC-4000P camera, except with different adjustments on the side. Yeah. Anyways, this is my HVC-3000P colour camera, working very nicely. Anyways, on to the next camera. Okay, this is my 1981 National WV-3030N colour Vidicon tube camera. It's quite a bit of a bigger camera than the WV-3030 and some of the other cameras made around the time. Has quite a hefty big viewfinder, which is nearly as which is about half the size of the camera's body itself, but a lot better for the viewing and all that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, this camera is, I've adjusted it to get the best possible quality picture. Yeah, initially I was getting a very green picture, but yeah, now after adjusting the red and the blue colour, I'm getting a half decent colour picture. Bit of a funky colour tone. The flesh tones are pretty much on the magenta sort of side of things. I'm getting a bit of a green glow, which, yeah, another artifact with some of these old Vidicon cameras. On the colour chart, looks not too bad. Nearly accurate in terms of the colours. The blues look a bit on the green side, and the yellow looks more on the skin tone pinky sort of side, but yeah, otherwise not too bad of a picture after a bit of adjustment. Yeah, this I had about 3 of these cameras in my time. I recall giving one of them away to the recycle centre, and I recently got another one of these cameras, and got 2 off eBay, and yeah, one of them works and didn't come with the viewfinder and all that sort of thing, so I hooked on those extras onto the working one, and yeah, there you have it. Anyways, yeah, this camera, I believe, whilst it's not giving accurate coloured pictures, it makes quite good for an effects camera to create a interesting colour tone for certain short films, if I were to make some. Now that's my WV-3200 Vidicon tube colour camera. On to the next camera. Okay, you're now looking at me through the eye of a Sony HVC-4000P trinicon tube colour camera. This camera is pretty much similar to the Sony HVC-3000P, but has a few different controls on the side, which you can fine-tune the colour temperatures and that sort of thing. But otherwise, they're pretty much similar cameras. Anyways, yeah, this camera, it works good, provided you have the iris close to close, because there seems to be I believe, a beam current issue or a target adjustment issue, which the pictures are pretty well overexposed, and hence you get over blooming in highlights situations. So yeah, I've adjusted the lens to close. But anyways, the color reproduction is very nice on this camera and my 3000 camera. As you can see on the chart, the colors look very accurate and the picture looks quite nice. Anyways, yeah, this is the first time I've used this camera since I first bought it, opposed to using the 3000 because of the overexposure issue. But yeah, I hope to one day correct that and use it more often. Anyways, very nice picture from a classic camera. This camera was made probably about 1981, 82ish, I'd say. Anyways, on to the next camera. Okay, this camera that you're viewing me through right now is a vintage Hitachi VK-C850 saticon tube colour camera made around about 1982ish. This camera was an old favourite of mine back in the early 2000s, which I've done some scenic videos on around the south coast area and other areas, as it was giving very, very nice, good quality coloured pictures. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a tinting issue, which I appear a bit yellow-green on the screen. However, the colour registry is still quite good though, as seen on the chart. It's just unfortunately I can't get a good white balance to get the proper flesh tones. But anyhow, bit of a shame about that, but it's another one of those things where cameras go bad after a while. Anyhow, yeah. So this is my Hitachi camera. Anyways, on to the next camera. Now here's a pretty cool camera. You're looking at me through a vintage 1983 Sharp XC54 handheld portable colour camera. It's not quite a camcorder, as it still connects to a VHS deck, but it is pretty much very well close to one, in which the camera is quite small compared to a lot of the other cameras made around the time. It's pretty much handheld. Well, obviously, it's pretty much quite a small camera, which the camera head, its part is pretty much no bigger than a large fist, and of course with a handle on the bottom. Anyways, it uses a much smaller tube, which is of the newvicon, which is a newvicon tube, 1/2 inch in size, opposed to the 2/3 inch tubes used in your normal colour cameras of the time of the saticon variety. And yeah, the colour registry is quite good, apart from the reds obviously being of that of crimson instead of red. And yeah, the picture seems to be of lower contrast, at which the blacks are greys, and as seen, and the picture looks quite pastel-y, which makes nicer effect but undesirable for a good quality picture. Anyhow, it's quite a neat little camera. I actually used this a number of years ago in my old Hyundai Excel car, which I used it as a car cam once. I've uploaded that video to YouTube, by the way. Just look up car cam on my YouTube channel and you'll find it. Yeah, it's quite a neat little camera, handheld, portable, easy to handle. I might just shoot around the room for a little bit. Move around in all directions. Here I am in close range. Picture sharpness is quite good in this one. It's pretty much uses a nice handy lever adjustment. And you've got your focuser. Anyways, that's my little portable Sharp XC54 for you. On to the next camera. Now here's a good top of the line range early 1980s portable VHS camera for you. This is a National WVP-100N saticon tube colour camera made around about 1983-84 period. This is the more professional type of portable VHS cameras, as it has quite a number of features on it, and which includes timer displays and that sort of thing. It even has a picture negative effect, which I will demonstrate right now. Here I am in picture colour negative. Quite a neat looking effect, eh? Yeah, I love using this camera for visual effects, as I get some quite good visual effects from it, especially with visual feedback and lighting effects and that sort of thing. And using the picture negative really adds to the array of effects I can make from this camera. Now I'll switch back to picture positive. Yeah, whilst this is quite a neat looking camera, and I can think of some great uses for it. Unfortunately, the picture quality is not quite as good as it originally was, due to the obvious wear and tear. I can't quite get it into focus at the distance that I'm at, and also the reds look like crimsons, and which to me is not really ideal for normal usage, as you can see on the colour bar chart. But apart from that, this is quite a good camera, and as mentioned before, I use it quite often for visual effects, particularly visual feedback effects. It also has some colour balance adjustment controls, which allow for added colour effects. That's the iris control. That's the iris control. Sorry. This one you can add. You can make it go more to the blue scale. Oh, sorry. You can make it go to the blue scale more so, or more towards the red scale. Anyhow, this is one of my favourite cameras for the use of effects. Now on to the next camera. Okay, you're viewing me right now through a mid-1980s National NV-MS1 VHS camcorder made around about, say, 1984-85-ish. This is these cameras use newvicon tubes, and as you can see, it's giving a very, very nice, accurately reproduced colour picture. With the cyclite connected, the picture looks kind of pastely, but nonetheless very nice. Yeah, this camera uses full-size VHS cassettes to record on, which is, by today's standards, quite cumbersome, but back then it was still considered portable, compact, being a camcorder. But yeah, very nice pictures, and it's in great working order, as you can see. I've actually got two of these camcorders, which both, I presume, would be working exactly the same from memory. I'm going to now plug in my next M3 camcorder. Be a second. Okay, this is my other National NV-M3 newvicon tube color camcorder, VHS camcorder, which the pictures look pretty much just the same as the other one that I showed. So yeah, this is quite a nice classic camcorder producing very nice pastel-y colour images. And it works quite nicely with my blue backdrop, so yeah, I'm probably going to be doing some chroma key presentations with this camera as well as my later Super VHS camcorder and my other Sony camera, the HVC-3000 camera. Anyway, so yeah, these are pretty good early camcorders to use. Now on to my next camera. Okay viewers, this is the final video camera I'm presenting to you tonight. You're looking at me through the eye of a 1991 Panasonic Super VHS NV-MS1 CCD chip camcorder. Yes, this is the camera that I was using at the beginning of the video, opening up the video. And this is the camera I'm going to be finishing off the video with. Yep, this camera offers modern, good quality 4x3 standard CCD color images, which obviously, yeah, look much better than a lot of the older tube cameras, offering nice crisp quality color pictures. Yeah, this camera is obviously probably most ideal for doing high quality video presentations, but I tend to like using the older tube cameras more so, but I occasionally use this camera for some of my presentations when I feel the necessity to do so. Anyhow, this camera, yeah, very good offers very good quality images. Anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video of me presenting all of my working cameras, well, most of them anyhow. There's a few cameras like the beta movie cams which I couldn't really use even though they are working because I don't have the power jacks on me, and yeah, I have to record to Betamax cassette and play back on the tape recorder to put them to DVD. Bit of a hassle job there, but I'll probably slip them in a future presentation on my video camera collection. And also, yeah, there's my 1974 Sony DXC-1200 camera, which it works, but gives black and white images that I couldn't present because I don't have the proper tripod for it, and trying to set it up at a reasonable distance to get a decent picture is a bit of a pain. Plus, yeah, it's not working too nicely. I'm getting a black and white image on that camera. And of course, there's my RCA TK760 studio camera, which is semi-working. Similar situation with the Sony color camera that I mentioned previously. Cannot really easily set that one up in this small bedroom. So, yeah, unfortunately couldn't present those. But anyhow, I managed to present most of my working cameras, and yeah, some work, as you see, some work very nicely, some don't work too well, but yeah, overall it's quite interesting to see the different images from the different technologies of video camera. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and yeah, I hope to do another presentation like this in the future when I get a lot more cameras and of course get my non-working cameras up into working order. Anyhow, this is Troy from the Troy's Visual Arts channel signing out. See you all.